Man, that was a good recording. I think it went well, guys, right?
Yeah, it really did.
Great
Yeah.
episode. Love the bit at the end.
Yeah, it was really funny. Well,
Good work,
okay.
good
Well,
work.
we spent a lot of time. It's really late. I guess we can all just all go to bed. Can just hey is uh is that red light supposed to be on?
Wait a second. Oh, god damn it.
Sam, does that mean it's recording now?
We weren't recording and we're recording now.
So that whole episode.
In smoke, yeah.
But that has such important over manga cast lore.
They won't know why you're in jail in the next episode. And we'll have to explain all the war crimes you've done.
And we're just gonna take it from the top.
Hey everyone, Jacob here from That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga, our heated adventures over analyzing manga we find interesting, aka the Over Manga Cast. Oh no. Don't mind the episode length. I'm sure it's fine. Technical. Whatever, I'm sure it's fine. This week we read Witch Hat Atelier by Kamome Shirahama. We read the first 10 chapters of this charming little fairy tale, so sit back and enjoy the show. What do you mean technical difficulty?
Welcome back to the Over Manga Cast, folks. After some technical difficulties, we're gonna do a bit of a truncated episode, but we'll start as we always do with our familiarity with the property that we read this week. I had not read Witch Hat Atelier previously. I'm pretty sure I always confused it with Little Witch Academia whenever I saw stuff about it on the internet. That was really about it. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, before this had been recommended, never heard of it. I guess at this point I've read it once before, but that's that is the fun of recording a podcast.
Yeah. Jay, how about you?
Pretty same to yourself. I honestly had not heard of the series before, and honestly, when I had seen the title, I immediately thought it was Little Witch Academia and was like, that is totally not for me.
All right, and Jacob.
No, I haven't seen it before, but I looked up one of the trailers in the recommendeds afterward. Now I'd seen a lot of the promotional material for the anime.
Yeah, I do want to say sorry to the person who requested we do an episode on this. We did. You're getting two. Be grateful.
Where's the other one, you might be asking? Well, that's what the technical difficulties did.
But yeah, I don't know. I just, speaking of this in an overview, Witch Hat Atelier is very storybook. It is the story of a girl who is whisked away to a magical land. It's very by the book in that way, but also does its own thing that's really interesting. It is not what I expected going into a manga about witches, which is, breath of fresh air. Our Coco, she's her typical, like, not born into magic, but finds her way into it through some weird curse that's brought on to her by a person who may or may not be her father. I don't know. Weird giant things were just poetic.
Yeah, the sort of interesting thing that I took away from Witch Hat Atelier was it presents itself very fairy tale, like very, very like child friendly, but it has these flashes of where it betrays it has a more serious story that it's building up to. There are moments in the beginning where sort of like fluffiness and this sort of by the numbers, a curse has turned Coco's mother to stone and all of that sort of like basic stuff. She literally goes to Diagon Alley at one point. It's very like childlike wonder, but then there are other parts where they'll just address the very real danger that the characters get into sometimes, and it kind of reminds you that like this is like, I think this is published as a seinen.
Yeah.
And particularly my favorite section was the absolutely adorable dragon, just a little guy.
Just a little guy on a little cloud made of sand. It's very warm.
It's so cute. But like uh, there are moments where the dragon is presented as exactly the level of threat that you would think a dragon would be of like 8-year-old girls. Like
Yeah.
they are genuinely terrified for their lives viscerally.
Excuse me, Jacob. They are 12.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
They've had
They're too young for this nonsense. is
they
the
have had that
important
many more years to understand death.
Which, thankfully, if they were 8-year-old girls, we'd be more concerned about why Kefri has 4 young women living in his house.
I'm sure it's fine.
Listen, I'm just saying, after the second apprentice that is specifically a young girl, it gets a little suspicious, and then you got a fourth.
Which,
Ugh.
I know what you're thinking, might have been 3. That's because we all can't remember the third girl exists a lot of the time.
I'm sure she's
Yeah.
going to be very plot relevant when we revisit this series because oh boy, I want to.
Yeah, there's Tetia, there's Agate, and then Rachel, Richie. That's her name.
I'm glad you remember.
It doesn't help that Agate is also the quiet one, but that's because she's tsundere.
she's the quiet one tsundere flavor.
Yeah.
The
Flavor,
other one
flavor.
is yes. The other one is quiet kudere flavor.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
The extremely ganky one is Tetia. She's very excitable about all things.
Considering we've had to correct the names we've gotten wrong now twice in this interaction, the other students are much less memorable than the 2 main girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
the
Tetia
one.
does kind of leave her stamp, especially because in a lot of cases, the points where it's like, hey, wait a second, this series is getting a little bit serious. Like this isn't fairy tale. This is taking it seriously. Tetia is the originator of a lot of that. She has a very noticeable like fear breakdown during the dragon incident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other thing, speaking of dragon and like the presentation of it all, man, that art is gorgeous. Like, holy cow.
It's an extremely pretty manga. They do a good job of making the magic look very very magical, very mystic, and even when it gets into explaining like how the magic system works, the magic system is simple enough. Just put runes in a circle with the right ink, and it still lends a bit of that like mystical mystery to it.
Yeah, it's simple enough that you can explain it quickly to the audience without them going cross-eyed, and they even make a joke about that when they're explaining their magic system.
Yeah.
But it also has enough wiggle room that you can build into that system whatever you need to for whatever narrative utility you come up against.
Plus, it has the added fridge horror of not looking too deeply into. Sam mentioned the special ink earlier. Don't mention that ink can only be derived from the rotting of one tree that has been poisoned with some kind of vicious ichor.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fine.
Like Jake was saying, it presents as very fairy tale and child friendly, but it's got that like Adventure Time energy where it seems very whimsical and silly, and then you scratch the surface and you're like, oh look, there are the horrors.
It didn't get there in our reading, but
Yeah.
there's kind of an ever-present kind of idea that the established structure of magic is somehow wrong and against the natural order, which is also like Kefri's whole thing is why he lives out in the middle of the woods where the government can't tell him he can't have 4 young female apprentices.
Yeah.
Polygamy laws don't come out this far.
Wait a second. But yeah, like it's the whole thing about how magic used to be so ubiquitous, but humans can't be trusted with anything. So a whole bunch of magical wars happened, and it was really terrible and horrible. Trust me, bro. So that's why we banned all magic that modifies or interacts directly with the human body in any way, even the cure wounds and healing people and make cancer go away spells, except for the memory wipe spell. That one we still use to make sure that the muggles stay in their place. I mean, don't mishandle magic. I'm being a bit more overt about it than the manga itself was, but like that's sort of the vibe that echoes over anything. It's like, why
Yeah.
else do you have a militaristic order of
Of magic
of,
enforcers.
of night wizards designed to go out and strike down people that learn the secret?
Yeah, very much so. The thing with like the explanation of it's like why they keep the secret, how they keep the secret, it's it's presented in a way that as you're reading it, like as you're reading it, you're going through the words like, okay, that makes sense. Exposition, exposition, exposition. And then you like turn the page and they've moved on from the conversation. You stop, wait a minute. Hang on.
I feel like we were about to hit on a point here that would have cracked this open a bit wider than you intended. You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah, it feels very on purpose. And like the big thing is the 12-year-old is not going to pick up on, like, it is really sketchy that the only mind/body altering spell that they still use is the mind wipe. Oh no. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's natural that protagonist Coco doesn't react to it, so it allows the series to move on, even though it's really easy to notice that something is wrong here.
Then you also have Keyfree kind of prompting that question from her, because Keyfree doesn't want you to tell the magic cop shit.
Yeah, it's also very understandable for what happens to Coco that she kind of buys that line hook, line, and sinker, because her first experience with magic that changes the human body is when she accidentally petrified her loving mother.
Well, we don't know loving for sure.
I mean,
Everything we'd seen
Yeah.
said.
yeah, I mean, she did encourage her curiosity. Like, it wasn't like super cagey or anything. I would say she's a good mom.
Yeah, there was that one really good scene where she had to let her gently about how, no, I can't do it. I am sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mommy, I'm a wizard. See, I'm magic. It's like, Coco, if the stones that glow right here, because they're magic stones, if your steps glow the entire way home, then yeah, you're a wizard. I don't care. And then we just cut to them on the way home after they've stopped stepping on the magic stones, and just toddler Coco bawling her fucking eyes out while mom is just like, nope, I know you can't fly, kid. Come on, we got to get home. Jeez. Like,
Yeah, Coco's mom has big single mother trying her best energy, which honestly makes sense considering the little bit we get to see of the home life. We don't know where Coco's father is. Maybe dead.
or
Could-
maybe the secret evil wizard we keep seeing who gave Coco her first spell book.
Yeah, that's the
Maybe there was
thing.
a whole custody dispute. That's why it's a spell book that turns that mom to stone.
Yeah, the brimmed caps are an interesting bit of world building because all the witches that are, working within the system have their pointed dunce caps. But the ones that practice the forbidden magics and try to spread the knowledge of magic far and wide are the ones with the brimmed magic hats. It's also notable
And
that like
two cowboy hats.
and two cowboy hats. Yeah, it's notable that the sort of page we get of like, these are the brimmed caps, the enemy organization we have to fight. They all have very different like hat styles, like Jake said, to cowboy hats, but also the one that Coco's been running into has like a veil with like a big eye and a bunch of tassels that makes me think of like a gnashing cyclops face. But they're all different designs. It strikes of like individuality, creativity, the sort of thing that a manga of this variety would normally consider to be the good thing. The uniformity of which society is often the bad force in like a shonen like this, a coming of age sort of thing.
Yeah, because the idea of like individuality, be express yourself in your own way, and that sort of ties into Keyfree to a large degree. It's interesting because they have this sort of thing where it's like Keyfree is either going to be like a righteous rebel or the actual villain. And I don't think there's much space in between.
He's definitely framed in spooky shadows often enough too. possibly be the villain.
My favorite part about Kifri is that clearly the manga realized his situation was a little weird, being the proprietor, being the guardian of 4 like teenage girls essentially, and they were like, don't worry, the magical community makes sure that all wizards live in paired couplets, and one of them is a cop who is a mandated reporter if anything weird goes on, and he has been here the entire time, and he lives in the shed.
We just haven't brought him up yet until this chapter near the end.
Your boy Ol Rugio, or as I like to call him, Ol Ruggy.
Ol Ruggio.
Ol Ruggy.
Who is the worst mandated reporter ever, because
he doesn't care.
He learns that Coco found out the secret of magic and didn't have her mind wiped, and also isn't an official apprentice yet. Goes to drag her off to the Knights Morales, and Kifri's like, "Hey, buddy, we've been friends for a long time. You're gonna keep your mouth shut before this gets violent, right?"
It really does defeat the mandated reporter part entirely if someone can be like, hey, don't tell the cops. Just be cool. Just be cool. Just be cool about my, 4 children I'm grooming. I mean, grooming to be witches. I mean, Kifri really doesn't deserve the slander we do, but his situation is really weird.
Yeah. Grooming in the preparing for a profession sense. But
it doesn't feel like anything weird is going on. It's just that the situation inherent is kind of weird, and the fact that they brought up the don't worry, we have a cop on site. I almost feel like they didn't need to do that. Like, that made it worse.
That made it worse, because it was just like they were aware. Because the problem is, there is nothing wrong with all 4 children being girls. There's nothing wrong with all 4 children being boys. It's just 4 is a weird number to all be girls.
To all be uniform, the same. Yeah,
we're lingering on this way more than the actually
I think that was my takeaway too. It's just kind of, you guys made it weird in a way that I didn't.
We definitely made it weird.
Fair, you're right.
I was like, what if it was a girl? What if it was a woman who had 4 boys?
We'd still make jokes, but we'd be just as wrong.
We'd still make jokes, but I would treat the situation differently, and that is some inbuilt misogyny I am realizing, which makes me a better person than the rest of you. So I mean,
I'm made it weird. I immediately.
Hey, I said we'd be just as wrong. The about the brimmed caps, the weird one-eyed veil witch has taken a particular interest in Coco because they're the one that locked them in the demi-plane prison dimension with the dragon. And after our heroes escaped, was like, "Ah, yes, the seed of potential I planted has blossomed. Coco, you are the one who can save the world of magic." And I'm like, bro, you gave her that picture book like a decade ago.
really just playing the long game here. But yeah, that's my unhinged theory that that's Coco's dad. Only because we know Coco's dad died in a war, but no one dies in wars.
Not in stories, anyway.
No one dies in war off screen in stories.
But yeah, we mentioned Old Ruggio, and our reading does kind of conclude mid arc as Agate and Coco had been having like a whole rivalry thing, and Agate's whole personality seems to genuinely be like she is a pureblood. To continue just stealing Harry Potter terminology, because Holy steals a lot of Harry Potter.
Yeah, she's very Malfoy coded.
And it's all, I have been told that I am better than not only the common people, but also other like people of magical talent. And there's a whole, more is expected of me, so I need to be better. And that's why initially she's kind of kind to Coco in like a dickbag tsundere way. So kind is actually a terrible adjective, but she's accepting of her because it validates her place as
the best,
being better,
superior.
And the second Coco immediately just does the hardest version of the you get to be a witch test by herself with absolutely no help, really just blows Agate's superiority out of the water, and then they don't like each other.
Yep.
Turns out, like, it's possible just for two people to just not mesh.
There is also a strong level of Agate takes their rivalry a lot more seriously than Coco does. Coco just wants to fix the magic shoes she broke.
Well, we get a into why that may be later on, but yeah.
Yeah, because the what we left off with in our reading is basically delving into Agate's backstory of you didn't do this perfectly, you're disowned in Agate's head flashback.
Yeah.
Which was frankly enough for me to have a general idea of Agate's backstory, but just knowing how narratives work, they're probably going to delve into it way more than I think is necessary. But it's also for children, but it's in an adult magazine, so it's an ascending magazine. Adult magazine is a different genre.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Oh no, now we've made it weird.
Oh no!
I was just saying, I don't have to say anything. You guys are making it all inappropriate yourselves. Go for it.
Yeah. Fucking beacon of Cis Confidential over there saying we're the ones who make things inappropriate.
Man.
He has point.
That is the
The abridged summary.
Yeah, the abridged summary of our reading.
And
We
our
don't-
thoughts.
We don't intend to lose the recordings when we do, but this is the best we could do. We're not recording another episode of this. That's our episodes are too long and too
Yeah, I
long-winded.
do want to go to sleep tonight.
I'm not apologizing.
It is your fault, Jacob. But
We weren't gonna blame blames, but Jacob was the one who did it.
anyway,
Oh.
favorite character and favorite of the little adventures they went on. I love Coco. She's great main character. One thing we didn't mention is that the reason she got into all this trouble is because she just really loves magic, dude. She loves that. She thinks it's so cool. Do you see? The stones light up when I walk on them. This magic spring that I'm doing laundry in, and or emptying a privy, we're not really sure. It magically purifies itself in a flash of mystical light. This is so cool. And even like after her fairly traumatic first experience of using magic where she petrified her mom, she's a lot more cautious, but she doesn't lose that like wide-eyed sense of wonder, which I think is a good way to do that sort of character growth, tempering the whimsy with experience rather than just pendulum hard swinging in the other direction of suddenly she's a witch hunter or something.
Or like has magic PTSD or something.
Yeah.
But they're also not allowed to hear because that's also...
Yeah.
Is that technically a human body? Like, they don't deal in magic that manipulates...
It's a little...
She's technically a stone right now, so it's fine.
It's a little up in the air. It's either the depetrify spell would also be forbidden because of that,
Yeah.
or maybe a depetrify spell doesn't exist. Either way, like Coco's goal is to become a good enough witch to get into the big Library of Magic Congress where they've got copies of every spell book ever written because magic.
Yeah, we
So-
did kind of skim over the fact that Kiefer promised her to fix her mom, but really has no reason to promise that. Like, he just wants that evil spell book, and we don't know why.
Yeah.
Presumably,
Just intentions.
he's a good guy. He just wants to live away from the government with his 4 adopted daughters and his best friend who's a cop.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with this plot.
Yeah, exactly. And my favorite of the adventures, it was their it was the demiplane with the dragon, because the dragon was really cool. It was drawn very scary, and then they defeated it by giving it a big cozy bed, and it was so cute.
Mhm.
All right, Jake, repeat everything I just said about the second one, but then tell us your favorite character.
The interesting thing about Witch Hat Atelier is none of the characters like individually stood out as an obvious favorite to me. They were all just like, high end good. I'm gonna go with Teltia as my favorite because she had some really, really good scenes that sort of like leaned into the this is gonna get really dark eventually. And yeah, my favorite adventure is the dragon is so cute. I want to boop the snoot.
Yeah.
It's just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
Tedia,
Little squeaks.
Tedia does have my favorite interaction where they're being like hunted down by the dragons and she's like stressed out and to the point she goes like, I'm going to die and this is all your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot harder than you would have expected from like the storybook, like power of friendship, like the art kind of leads you to believe should be the interaction. But it's a very real, I don't want to die, and we're only here because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like she stops herself like at the last second before she actually like says the quiet part out loud, but everybody knows that's what she meant. And they even have a scene later where she apologizes for it and Coco's like, no, I know you didn't mean it the way you said it, but what you said is true. But, and then they have plan to get out of it, which is fluffy cloud bed for the cute dragon, and it's just the best.
Yeah, intellectual property theft.
He's so cute, though. Look at him do the florp.
Aw, Tedia, you've got such a cute dream. We're all going to steal it and tell you it was bad.
You can't actually make cloud beds. You need something solid. We're using sand. Aw. But yeah, Jay, how about you? Favorite character and favorite adventure?
Gojo guy.
Oh, Keyfree.
Keyfree is the Bishojo witch mentor guy. Or Bishojo, Bishonen.
Bishoujo is for women. Would be Ollivanders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they pick out the wand.
Where they pick out the wand.
Yes.
That is the most Diagon Alley.
It is
Like,
so
that's-
aggressively Harry Potter coded.
Yeah.
The pen chooses the writer, Coco.
All right, and Matt.
Hard to go wrong with Coco. She's got that strong main character energy. She's got her magic. She's got like a lot of chutzpah. Just hard to not like her. And favorite thing I liked was when they all had a fun cooking episode and they learned that the best way to be good at a skill is to use it in your everyday life for something you actually want to do. And it's like a little trick of motivation. And that motivation was make good food, but use magic. And then they went out and partied in the rain because Keyfree doesn't like to get wet because he's if a cat was a man. And he froze the teardrops in the sky like the teardrops in your eyes when you feel sad.
He's got some hella magic is what he's got.
He is a very magic man, and I use the term man loosely because for a long time I was unaware that Keyfree was supposed to be a dude. The
If
punk
they don't
rock-
have facial hair.
Well, yeah, because Ol Ruggio is the most masculine character design in this, and his facial hair looks like it was drawn on.
Like in universe drawn on.
Yeah. And then Keyfree is very androgynous and kind of has a punk rock lesbian haircut going on, which is not doing him any favors.
All right. And well, we kind of went over our plot predictions in the course of our little discussion there. So we'll skip straight to would you continue reading? I absolutely would. I'm very curious to see when the horrors will truly start to appear.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
yeah, for as dangerous as the dragon was, it still ended
They defeated it with a bed.
They defeated it with a fluffy cloud bed. It had that flash of being too real with Tetia fearing for her life, but it still felt like, oh no, we have to escape the dragon. It like still very kid coded. And I want to see the part where one of them gets gibbed by a spell gone wrong.
You want your Madoka Magica episode.
Yeah, I want the Madoka Magica episode. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'd continue reading. This is really cute. It's fun. I I really like the art, and that pushes me like motivation wise a lot of the way. Which also kind of has me not super psyched for the anime because I think a lot of this is carried in like the storybook charm, and I feel like kind of the way anime studios go is it kind of becomes more generic anime, and
Yeah.
I don't have strong faith. I'm also dating this episode because if the anime's already out, I could be wrong, and I don't like.
Who knows? Jay, how about you?
What?
Would you continue reading?
I would lean towards yes, but only because my guy's in there and the plot develops.
Yeah, your boy Keyfree.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's like a trend here. If there is a hot guy involved, and I need to see where this plot develops.
Yeah,
Here for the plot.
how's Jujutsu Kaisen treating you?
Oh what? Shut up.
And Jacob.
Oh heck yeah, I'd continue reading. This is great. It is cute. It has adorable dragon. I hope comes back. Probably won't, but I want it. The art is freaking gorgeous, and I'm very interested to see where this plot is going to go. We got like the intro to the intro, and my appetite is absolutely whetted. The world is cool, the characters are interesting. I don't know, there's something fun about a series that presents itself on its face as a paint by number series, and then but like you can kind of tell that it's, like it's luring you into thinking that way. It like it's so obvious it wants you to notice that this is a facade. I like that.
All right, and thank you everybody once again for tuning into the Over Manga Cast. As always, you can find us on all your social medias where we are at Over Manga Cast.
You can also find us on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. Our episodes go up on a 2-week delay. So if you want to catch our up-to-date stuff, head over to overmangacast.com, which also has a place where you can leave comments, give us recommendations. This is a recommendation and we loved it, so we love hearing from you.
And as always, we appreciate reviews in any and all forms. Go ahead, reach out to us over mangacast@gmail.com or wherever you see the Over Mangacast names. I don't know what social media things exist in the future. Maybe we're on them, maybe we're not. I have no idea. But speaking of having no idea, Sam, what are we reading next week?
Next week, we are reading Centauria, chapters 1 through 27. So if you're keeping up with the show, be sure to read that, and we'll see you all next Thursday. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Jacob, for crimes of having lost the episode, you are being banished to the forest. And, as is the right, you must be tied to such a land. You will be wed and must bed a she-bear.
If I must. Where did you guys get the face paint?
What the hell's happening right now?